Hi, everyone. So, today I want to talk about how we make decisions. We all got to make decisions every day, decisions about our lives, our health, our business, our family, about our relationships. And how do we actually do that? Well, a lot of the time, it does depend, of course. Everybody's a little bit different. But a lot of the time if we got to make business decisions and we use our thinking mind and we look at the past, what has happened in the past, we look at what we think is going to happen in the future, and we bring all the facts we can together in this moment in order to make a decision. Now, men like to work like that. Women are often very different because women also add another quality of feeling. What do they feel about the process? What do they feel about the people that are involved? They are very more heartful than headful. And that is a bit frustrating for men, and especially in relationships when the man keeps saying, but this is what we should do. And the woman says, I don't feel that way. Well, men don't like this feeling stuff. They want the facts. So the same thing applies, of course, to medicine. And I'm a medical doctor, and I have to make decisions about how am I going to treat ill health. Well, in order to do that, I need to have some idea of what are the underlying causes over here, and what do I know about where this condition is going to move, and what are all the facts that I can bring together. Let me do some blood tests and x-rays and all kinds of things like that in order to make what people call an informed decision. Well, the same thing applies to business. The same thing applies in our relationships. We try and get the facts together and put those facts together, and then we weigh it all up and then try and make a decision. But, the thing is that we're dealing in the end, as I keep pointing out, with enormous, enormous complexity. So if you take, for example, ill health, chronic ill health, and you start to ask yourself, what are the causes? Well, I've just talked about this before. It depends what kind of practitioner you go to. If you go to a Chinese practitioner, he'll talk about the flow of energy, qi, in the meridians. If you go to a Ayurvedic doctor, they might talk about hot and cold and other conditions like that which can affect health. If you go to a medical doctor, then he will start to talk about bacteria, viruses, parasites, poisons, toxins, all kinds of things like that. So how do we, in the end, actually decide on what are the causes? Because it's not straightforward. You could say, well, take an example of tonsillitis, and it's due to bacteria, or the COVID flu epidemic. Obviously, it's due to the COVID virus. But again, it's not straightforward because, as you know, a lot of people in contact with the person that's ill don't get ill. I mean, my wife had COVID a few weeks ago. I've been in touch with a lot of people. I haven't been ill. I've had COVID before, but not this time. So it's not straightforward that, here's another fact, another cause. Let's say that you're allergic to something in the food, gluten, for example, you're intolerant to gluten. But not everybody is intolerant to gluten, so there must be other factors involved. There has to be a susceptibility before a virus can get in. There has to be a susceptibility to gluten. Otherwise, you're not going to have a problem with gluten. So then we come back to the susceptibility. And the susceptibility, well, are you susceptible? Well, then there has to be genetic factors. There are a whole range of emotional, mental factors. There are toxins in the environment, and in some areas there are more toxins than others. So all that sets a background to the possibility of a virus entering. Viruses don't just get in. The body has very good defense mechanisms, so there has to be something else that causes a susceptibility. And then we're not even talking about astrological factors. Saturn aligned with Mars or whatever it is, which, according to astrology, can make you more susceptible. There are all kinds of cell phones and computers and all that. So it's not possible. It actually is not possible to define the cause of a particular illness in that person. In that person, the causes, and they're never single causes, they're going to be a whole range of causes. Bacteria, virus, parasites are often precipitating factors and not actual causes. As I said, there has to be a background. So there are a lot of factors which cause a background of susceptibility, and they are incredibly difficult to identify. First of all, it's not as if whatever the initial cause is stays there. I mean, toxins, the body gets rid of toxins. The body's immune system requires a whole range of nutrients and vitamins and minerals, and that also fluctuates from time to time. So it's not as if whatever the initial cause is, stays there all the way through for the next 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. No. Those causes are also fluctuating up and down, and some of them are appearing and then disappearing. So the causes don't remain static. So we're dealing with such complexity that it's impossible to know exactly the underlying causes. And so in the end, in my struggle to understand causes, I had to give it up, actually, and recognize, okay, there are some common factors. There are common factors. Everybody's got a range of vitamin mineral deficiencies. Everybody's got a range of emotional, mental problems, which fluctuate and come and go. Everybody's got a whole range of background stuff that's happening. So that's the reason why we can't identify the underlying causes, and we can't even really say where that person is what's going to happen to that person. The doctor might say, I think you've only got 3 months to live. That person lives 3 years. Why? Because there's a whole range of factors that are affecting the flow of that particular illness. Exactly the same applies to relationships. We all know that you have times when the relationship is flowing beautifully, and you think to yourself, I wonder why. Is it because my husband apologized? That must be the reason why I'm feeling good now. It doesn't work like that. Suddenly you're feeling good, and I'm not sure why. I didn't necessarily have a good night's sleep last night, but I'm feeling fine today. The other day I had a good night's sleep and I didn't feel so fine. So these things are variable. So then how do we know how to make decisions? If we're dealing with such enormous complexity and things come and go and flow exactly the way they do, there seems to be an underlying intelligence operating in my life. I'm not really sure. I recognize that I'm not in charge. It doesn't work like that. I can plan as much as I want to. Things happen in the way they happen, and I'm not in charge. My relationship with my partner has gone through ups and downs. I think when there's an intent to try and find some element of truth, to find some element of wonder and awe, to find love, when that is our intention, then what tends to happen is that life starts to transform itself towards the direction that we want. But if we're negative and pessimistic, if we're angry and unhappy all the time and constantly blaming others, then that creates the environment in which we start to move. Then we start to move towards that exact environment that we don't like, which is a little bit crazy, isn't it? So for me, in my relationship, in my work situation, in my business situations, I constantly try and bring qualities of wonder, of awe, of love, of the perfume of grace into my relationships, into my work situation and with my patients. So I tend not to focus on the disease, but to focus on health. I tend not to focus on the things in my partner that I don't like, but to try and support that which I feel is good and wonderful and awesome in her. My thinking mind plays games, I get it, and I watch those games of the thinking mind. But, somewhere along the way, you've got to make a decision who's your friend. Your thinking mind or your soul forces. And remember, when we talk about soul forces, we always talk about that which is good and wonderful and awesome and loving and passionate. Those are qualities of the soul, whereas we know the qualities of the ego are judgmental and narrow-minded and all those qualities. So we need to make a choice. Who is our master here? Who's our guide? Who's our mentor? Who's our guru? My narrow, contracted ego self, or my soul, my qualities of heart and feeling. So I choose this one and watch this one very, very carefully, because it's a trickster. It tries to play the games of this one, and I know it. So I have to watch that carefully. And how do I make decisions then? I try and make decisions, first of all, that come from heartfulness, decisions that come out of awe and wonder. I listen to my feeling self. I don't ignore the thinking self, because the thinking brings a quality of logic and order, and I recognize it. And I don't allow it to be in charge, but I allow it to give its voice into this beingness that I am, which is a thinking being, a feeling being, a heartful being. And I allow that, in that space, to make a decision. So when it comes to my patients, it's not that I just go on my feeling self. There's lots of good information out there, but I bring it all together. Bring it all together in this space, and then make a decision based on that. And learning to trust it, learning to trust this feeling self, this heart self, recognizing that I need to be in a space of loving, sense of wonder and awe. Have a good day.